Hey, go for it.
All right. Well, I'm Alex Lloyd. I graduated from Rice in 2000, and I'm currently an assistant basketball coach for the Memphis Hustle. We're the G League team for the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA. For those of you that don't know what the G League is, it's the minor league for the NBA. And I've been here for 3 seasons. Before that, I was at Texas A&M as a video coordinator and special assistant to the head coach. And then I've had several other coaching stops along the way, working backwards from there. I was with the Atlanta Hawks, the Austin Toros then, now the Austin Spurs, the G League team for the San Antonio Spurs. And the San Antonio Spurs, I spent one summer at Williams College and then was with the Spurs as an intern before then. And between San Antonio and going back to San Antonio, I got a master's degree in education from Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, which, if there are people looking at graduate schools, Smith undergrad is all female and Smith graduate school is co-ed, which is a question that comes up in the small college community at times. And for me, I got into coaching really when I was in college. I was working a lot of basketball camps, and I'd worked a lot as a student at Rice too, but I started really enjoying that aspect of it, and I knew that I either wanted to teach or coach. And I was looking when I was graduating at going into Teach for America and probably trying to find a high school to coach at. I really enjoyed my experience at high school basketball at Rice. Kevin Saplicki was the coach then. And then largely through luck and the connection with my college coach, I was able to get an internship with the Spurs. And that kind of pushed me onto the path of coaching at the professional level. And it's been great. I would describe my job as coaching is teaching. And really my job, especially in the G League, is to help people get from point A to point B in their lives, whatever that is. In college, for some people, that was graduating and finding jobs. In the G League, like all minor leagues, the players that are there want to develop and go and either be in the NBA or go overseas and play and do something that's more financially rewarding than playing in the minor leagues. So helping them do that. And then it runs parallel to that, trying to help the group achieve a goal as well, which is being as good as we can be. And it's been great. I've loved coaching from college to the pros. People are just at different points in their lives. I started out working with players that were older than me when I was first coaching. And now I have assistant coaches on our staff that played for me when they were finishing up their career. And so it's been really cool to just kind of see the transition from players to the NBA, from players that were finishing in the NBA and were transitioning into finding a regular 9-to-5 job and figuring out, how basketball still fit in their lives. And I think it's really rewarding. I'll share this, my dream job is still to go back and coach at a small college somewhere. And so I enjoy it. And I think it's important for, whether you're in high school trying to figure out where you want to go to college, or you're graduating college and you're working to try to figure out, what might be the next step for you that would be really fulfilling. And for me, that's kind of the goal that's out there on the horizon that hopefully will happen in the next few years. Are there questions? And if not, I can talk more about some things that I think have been helpful, some things that I think my college has sent me that I was like, you know what, I really wish I had that when I was a student, and I kind of lucked into it.
Mm-hmm. I have one quick one, just going off
Yeah.
of what you just said, your dream job being to go to coach at, small college somewhere. I think there might be a perception, especially amongst young people, that the ultimate in your field would be to coach at the professional level, at some really successful franchise. And so what about coaching at the college level appeals to you? Why is that your dream job?
Yeah. So my experience at Pomona as a student athlete there was just incredibly meaningful to me. Like, I loved being around my professors and my coach and my teammates, and so many of them have helped me along the way. And it's a space where I feel like you can have a real impact to, regardless of what your student athletes' goals are, to kind of help them find their way, to help them figure out kind of how they fit within the community. And to me, that's really meaningful. I love coaching professionally too. I think that the difference in coaching professionally and coaching in college is that professionally, so much of it is, just do you like the people you work with? We have a 50-game season. The NBA has an 82-game season. You are, during the season, around the players and the team more than you're around your family. And if you like the people you work with, it is terrific and challenging for your family because you're gone more than you're home. And I think in the small college setting that it has a balance that really resonates with me. I think growing up in Vermont, going to Rice, that the idea of being able to go home at the end of the day and see my wife, see my kids, being able to have players that want to come over to your house and eat, that, those things they're rewarding to me. And you learn like another layer of depth about your student athletes and kind of what their dreams are and what their goals are. And then on the back end, I think it's been really cool to, as I've gotten older, go back and introduce my daughter to my college coach and show her where I went to school and let her run around campus and talk about becoming a dad with my teammates and things like that.
That's terrific. Sydney, Jen, do you guys have any questions? Otherwise, we can let Alex offer some of his advice, the things he's picked up along the way. Oh, we can barely hear you, Jen. There we go.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Yes.
Sorry. So Alex, I graduated a few years before you, but I am just thinking of my own kids who are into sports and things. But just wondering, I heard your master's, you got an education, but what was your undergrad? Or maybe I had that.
Yeah. My undergraduate was in political science and a minor in psychology.
Okay.
And so I chose that partially because of basketball and partially because of the department. So I went in thinking it would be really cool to be a biomedical engineer major, and then looked at the labs and was like, I'm going to miss basketball practice like 3 days a week. Like, I don't want to do that. And so I kind of took classes in a couple of different departments and felt like I really got along well with the professors in the politics department, and that they really challenged me to write well and to ask good questions. And I figured that with those skills that I would be well positioned to go to graduate school, whether it was trying to get back into the sciences or going to do something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sydney, any questions right away? No? Okay. What kind of
All right.
great advice have you picked up along the way, Alex?
I don't know if it's great advice, but it is the advice that I have. So I would say, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we did an alumni panel at Pomona, and all of us kind of came back to talk about this, which none of us knew leaving college, and we all kind of found out, which is, however it happens, both in college or after college, try to figure out like who the people are in your life that are advocates for you, or when you're taking a job, like what people are investing in you. And for me, like that was a great thing about Rice, like the Valleys, Kevin Saplicki and the Saplickis, like the people around me at Rice. I always felt like they were really invested in my success and they were on my team and advocates for me. But I never really thought about it until after I'd gotten a job. And, you know, especially when I got into coaching, just the time that some people spent with me to help me be a better coach. And when I talked to other people about their experiences and where that was missing for them, it's really telling when you talk to them and they're, you know, they've been in it for the same amount of time as I have or longer, and they're still trying to find those people in their career path that are advocates for them and helping them and just sharing knowledge with them about how what they want to do can succeed or fail, and when it's not going well, how you can have a chance to fix it. And so to me, that's been a huge one. It's just kind of bet on people as much as you may want to look at the name on the front of the company, like figure out who you're going to be working for, figure out if it's a good fit for you. And then if you know that, like there's a chance that you'll probably like going to work more days than you don't. So that's the big picture one. And then I can share my screen. Our career development office sent out an email that I was like, I don't think our career development office gave us this when I was in school. And this would have been really helpful because some of these things I got right just by dumb luck. And some of them I probably still need to practice. I don't know if I can share my screen or not. I will try.
I might have to make you a co-host, which I think I can do. I'm going to do that right now. Okay. You should be able to do it now.
Let's see. There. So
Works.
they sent me this, which it's nice. Like Pomona sends out all of these things about kind of landing the job that you really want. And I think that I probably did everything on the left, which is what they say not to do, and only a couple of the things on the right, just by luck. And so to me, what I've learned as I've gone on further in my career is, you know, like I talked about, I want to be a college coach. And so when I was just out of school and out of graduate school, I just applied for every college job that I saw online. That was my strategy. And I didn't get any of them. And what I've learned is it's so much of what I've gotten in my career is relationship based, and that now, you know, setting my sights a little bit further ahead, you know, figuring out, hey, I think I would be a good fit at, you know, these 5 schools, and I'm going to send an email to the athletic director and just say, you know, I'd love to, you know, get coffee with you if I'm in town, or I'd love to get on a phone call with you for 10 minutes. And then just being prepared to try to use that time as efficiently as possible. You know, I've found that most people in fields want to help you, but you have to take a role in really showing them how they can help. Like I've found most athletic directors will get coffee with you, but like you need to come and know the questions like, what do you look for in a head coach? How do you think when you look at your department, a student athlete experience should look like at, the University of Vermont? And just kind of start to understand that. And it lets you know some about them, some about their institution. And then they also will ask you questions and you get to answer. And you don't know, the job could open in 3 years or it could not. But in sports, it tends to be, if it doesn't open, somebody that they went to college with that's an athletic director has a job there, and now you have some sort of connection and you're able to start to talk to people about your, getting past just the generic I applied online, and hopefully you get an interview and now you're able to start kind of moving forward. And then that ties back to using internal referrals, which is the last one, which is I've learned, that's the way that a lot of people can help you is, if you understand what the people around you have done and what they've accomplished, that you're able to help introduce them to people in your life that may help them. And they're able to help introduce you to people that may be able to help you. And I think that it's really important as a student and then as a young professional that you try to make it a two-way street. People feel a lot better about that than just, calling your college professor every week and being like, hey, I need you to write me another letter of recommendation. But I will be completely transparent and say that's so much easier as you get older. And when you're younger, like, don't be shy about asking for help and then understanding how people can help you. Like the two-way street part of it for me has come, really probably in the last 5 years, 6 years, as I've gotten into my late 30s and know enough people to introduce people, am old enough to have experience that's worth offering advice with. And so when you're younger, like it won't always be a two-way street, but be aware that you'll reach a point where you're like, you know what, I think I can help this person with something too. And once you get there, don't be afraid to jump in. That's my advice spiel.
Great advice. That's excellent advice. Sydney, what year are you? Are you sophomore? So were you at the sophomore summit this morning? Yeah. So this dovetails beautifully with that, doesn't it? Yeah. So I have a quick question about, what does your day-to-day world look like as a coach?
Yeah. I'm going to talk about a normal year because for the past year, it has been very different. It's largely been working from home and making phone calls because the NBA has been on hiatus. But normally my day-to-day during the season is we'll go into the office. I normally go in around 8 or 7:30 because I like to just work for a couple hours before we have meetings and get stuff done and have that quiet time. And around 10, we will meet as a staff and we'll go through, what we want to do that day in practice, what we liked or didn't like from the previous game or the previous practice, kind of talk through any of the drills that we're adding about how we want to do them and just what makes them work. If we need to, we'll go out on the floor and walk through them just so that everything goes smoothly. And then around 12, if we're practicing at 12:30, the players will start to arrive on the court. Some of them will have been there before doing a lift or doing other things to take care of their body. And so around 12, we'll go down to the court and just kind of rebound for the players or do like a small individual workout for the players for that 30 minutes. But most of that is like mental health or a wellness check. Like you're just, everybody has different things going on. Like it doesn't matter where you are. So it's just kind of what's going on with them, how they are, what TV shows are they watching, what books are they reading, did they stay up all night the night before playing Fortnite? That is a reality that happens a fair amount. And then practice will start, and that typically runs about 2 hours. And then after practice, we normally hang back on the court for another 30 to 45 minutes. And normally that time is where our guys do a lot of their individual work. And some of it's structured, some of it's just, grabbing guys. And there are certain things that you try to, we were really working on pick and roll the other day. And so I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk about a couple things that I think will help them be successful, and just spending 10 to 15 minutes on that, and then getting up some shots or free throws. And then they're done, and we go back up and we talk for a few hours about, not a few hours, that's a lie. We talk for about 15 to 20 minutes about practice and what we're thinking, and do we have to travel in the next day or two, and what that'll look like. And then we go back and we work on our own. But that's the nice part, that means typically from like 8 to 3 you're at the office. If you want to come in from 10 to 3 and work at home for those first couple hours, you can. I am not a good worker at home. I will own that. So I go in because I get a lot more work done. And then people go home and work from home, and we are pretty connected, just kind of via phones and text about things that we're doing. We have a lot of autonomy in terms of doing scouts and prep for our opponents on our own. We break that schedule up where we each have certain teams throughout the course of the year. And that's the general day-to-day. And then in the off season, we help out with the Grizzlies workouts, and that's typically guys come in and you have 2.5 to 3 hours of guys coming in for 30-minute to 45-minute slots for workouts, and then they lift and play pickup, and then you're done until late June when summer league happens. And from late June until mid-July, you're helping out with summer league. And from mid-July until late August, you are on summer break.
You get a summer break?
We do. It's nice.
Yeah.
Man, the NBA gets less of one than the G League. So during that time in the NBA, coaches would typically like fly out to spend time with a player wherever they are spending their time, and make sure that you're there to help them work out. So it's not bad. It's great work. It's less of a break. But the summer from late July to the end of August is normally a pretty nice pace. It will not be this year. This year, I think that's when summer league will probably end up being, and you'll have one more condensed year in addition to whatever happens with the Olympics, and then it'll go back to normal in 2022, probably, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, right. Absolutely. And what is the scouting world look like? And do you have a hand in that as well?
Yeah, so there are two tracks for scouting. One is for the games, and that you typically watch 2 to 5 games of your opponent before you play them, and that just kind of depends on the schedule. And so for us, our scouting process is like, I would go through, let's say we were playing BHS, I'd watch 3 of their games, and I'd just kind of catalog every play that they run and come up with a frequency sheet. So they run, play A 20% of the time, play B 20% of the time, and plays C through F 5% of the time, and then they're in random stuff other than that. And so that kind of gives you a guide for what you're going to go through with the team and what you're going to focus on to prepare for the game. You know, you want to focus on the two that they run 40% of the time, and maybe touch on whatever actions are in C through F that your team hasn't seen before, just so that they have a chance to see them. And then the rest, you just kind of trust your players to go play, and hope that we're good enough to talk and communicate and figure it out. And so that's the scouting side for the games. For the personnel side in the front office, it is so much about figuring out the character of the person. So we will watch games, the front office will watch games, and they'll make notes, you know, that like LeBron James is obviously the best player in the draft. And for the most part, like, people will have some consensus about these are players that we like and think would be good for us as players. But then the majority of the time is really spent on figuring out who they are as people, who they are as workers, what their life is like away from the court. You know, do they have a relatively stable life? Is it completely chaotic? And I think the thing that gets lost a lot of times in professional sports is how young the players are. And, you know, like, it would be hard for me if I won the lottery to go out tomorrow and just be completely fiscally responsible and not do anything that was like, you know what, I really wanted this car, so I just bought it. And that's basically what happens in professional sports. Is you have a handful of 19 to 22-year-olds that are handed winning lottery tickets, and they've earned them. Like, they deserve it. It's whatever, like, right or wrong, it's what the market is. And then everybody judges them based off how they react. And so much of that is trying to look at it from an organizational standpoint of, is this person going to handle this well enough? Can we provide enough support where they have an opportunity to be successful, and they can then become 25, 26, 27 and like fully formed with perspective, or more fully formed with perspective, as opposed to flaming out and becoming a cautionary tale.
That's really interesting. Yeah, it's great to hear that that's a big part of how you make those decisions. Well, we have 1 more minute. So any questions from you guys before we close this out? No? Any final words of wisdom, Alex?
Thank you guys so much for jumping on. I hope that it helps. I will say the big thing that I think about when I was going from high school to college is, like, we're all trying to figure it out. Like, I was trying to figure it out. It feels intimidating. That's completely normal. Sometimes it feels great. Sometimes it feels awful. But when you look around a room and you feel like you're all alone, like, everybody else in the room is going through the same thing, and at different points, like, that'll reveal itself. So when you start, know you're in it with everybody else, even though it doesn't always feel like that.
Great advice. Thank you. Well, thanks so much for doing this today. And you're one of a couple of Rice alums who are doing great things in the coaching world. Morgan Valley just moved back to UConn. So you're a classmate, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So something in the water in 2000.
Mo's a superstar, just unbelievable person. So,
yeah, I look forward to meeting
so
her
happy
someday.
for her.
Yeah. Well, thanks again so much for doing